the nose cone.
Stars blinking out of sight. First steps in space we say, but feels like a charade. Lights and wires everywhere, on a stage beyond compare. Gravity a distant thought, was this moment store-bought? Is this real or fantasy? Walking in a galaxy, lost in cosmic reverie. Dreams turned into parody. Footprints on the moon's face, questions we can't erase. Cameras at every turn, truths that we patiently spurn. Silent void, a grand display, lines that blur and lead astray. In a vacuum, tales are spun underneath an artist's sun. Is this real or fantasy? Walking in a galaxy, lost in cosmic reverie. Dreams turned into parody. Is this real or fantasy? Walking in a galaxy, lost in cosmic reverie. Dreams turned into parody. Dreams turned into parody.
Good evening, all. How are we? Welcome, Jedi, Julie, Gunky. Didgedo. There's a new one. Didgedo. Sounds very bird orientated. Hope it's not in any kind of relation to those seagulls that Ed feeds. Ray, good evening. A bit harsh. Twitter has been mental today, has it not? It's been fun, yeah. Anyway, let's cover the basics. Ed isn't here tonight, unfortunately, because he's getting varnished. Well, or his desk is, something like that. Some sort of gay designer thing, no doubt. I don't know who designed his new pad. Probably him. But yeah. So Ed's indisposed, shall we say. He was in disarray last week. He's now indisposed. So at least he's moving forward. So I'm just going to have a chat about these drone incursions, which are melting people's brains for some obscure reason. And we might touch on that thing in Manchester. Yeah, okay. Right. First of all, let's start with the drones and what it said about them. What does it say about the drones? Let me just get to my screen here. Unauthorised drone incursions over US Air Force bases in England have entered their second week. I didn't realise it had been going on as long as that. But having said that, remember Langley? Langley was one set of drones every day for 17 days. Anyway, raising concerns about security and prompting a joint US-UK investigation. The incidents began on November 20th, 2024 and have been reported at RAF Lakenheath, RAF Mildenhall, RAF Feltwell and RAF Fairford. Lakenheath is where they keep the nukes, I believe. The drones are more sophisticated than consumer models, suggesting they are not operated by hobbyists. Yet, on the same token, I saw people saying that they were quadcopters or, hexacopters or whatever. Those are eminently operated by hobbyists, even expensive ones or home-built ones. Some of them can get quite big. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure about dwell time on a quadcopter. I think the best commercial ones get about an hour. So, and people are showing videos of. We'll go into this in a minute. Let's get through this first. Incidents at RAF Lakenheath, RAF Mildenhall, and RAF Feltwell appear to be connected. So I was saying that the drones just sailed over them all because they are quite close, aren't they? F-15E Strike Eagles have been deployed to track the drones using targeting pods. Well, that's a fucking waste of time. And I'll tell you why in a minute. British troops, around 60, oh good God, that must be nearly a third of the army, have been brought in to assist with the investigation. A criminal investigation has been launched with potential penalties of up to 14 years in prison under national security laws. So if you get caught, you will go to jail. The US and UK militaries are actively monitoring the situation. Counter-drone capabilities, including the Ninja system. Does that involve throwing ovens and blenders at them? May have been deployed. RAF Shadow I-Star aircraft and National Police Air Service helicopters have been involved in the surveillance efforts. The incidents have not impacted residents or infrastructure but are being continuously monitored. These incursions come at a time of heightened tensions following recent escalations in Ukraine and concerns about potential retaliation from Russia. However, the source and intent of the drone operators remains unknown. I'll bet it does. As the investigation continues, both US and UK authorities are working to ensure the safety and security of the affected military installations while balancing the need to protect civilian communities. There you go. Everybody happy about that? Right, so some guy on Twitter posted this thing today about the drones, and I said it's handy that they've got nav lights as well. And bloody hell, you'd think I'd accused everybody of being an idiot or something because they all went nuts, which is great for engagement. Don't get me wrong, but they called me a nutter. They called me a nutter. I'm the guy pointing out the drone's got lights on it, and they say, you're a nutter. It could be part of its anti-gravity. Someone genuinely said it could be as a result of its propulsion stroke gravity drive. God, give me strength. Look. Hey, I know. I want to believe in aliens as much as the next guy. But you got to give me something better than a quadcopter. And you can't go from seeing a light in the sky to it's aliens in, a nanosecond. Because there's loads and loads of different reasons for lights in the sky. And the chances that it's aliens is very, very minuscule. Very minuscule. You have to comprehend the size of the actual universe and the time it takes to get anywhere. And then you have to actually completely throw out physics, totally, including observed physics that you've proven to be right. You have to throw it all away. Because if you want to travel faster than light, then as far as we know just now, there's no way of doing it. So if you want to do it, you have to throw physics away and you have to start from scratch and come up with something better. And I'm not saying that's impossible, but I think it's a big ask. It's a big, big ask. They're not Chinese balloons, Ray. They are drones. People have seen them. They've seen them, and they've seen them flying, and they've heard them, and they reckon they're about 1,000, 2,000 feet or something. Which probably means they're lower. And I did see a video today of, wow, look at it go when the F-15 turned up, because the drone took off at that point. But when you look at the footage, you can see the F-15 must be about, I don't know, looks high, maybe 10,000 feet or something, and the drone's a lot lower and a lot closer to the camera. So it's going to look like it's going really fast compared to the F-15. But why would you put an F-15 up against a quadcopter? Because an F-15 can't go slow enough. That's the problem. What's the stall speed? What is the stall speed of an F-15? It must be nearly 200 knots. So, if you got your undercarriage down, your flaps out and your wings extended, you maybe get it down to about, 100 mile an hour? But even then, your average drone can hover, So, no point putting F-15s up, in my view. You can't shoot the buggers down. Everybody goes, why don't they just shoot them down? Well, one, they're not doing anything apparently hostile, which is fine. So there's no aggressive action from them. So if you want to shoot them down, where are they going to land? And I'm not convinced these are quadcopter type drones, especially with extended dwell times. Because they've talked about some of them being hanging around for hours and things like that. You can't do that with a quadcopter. So, yeah, so there you go. Ray says F-15 stall speed is about 130 knots. There you go. Hello, Espresso Mechanic. Nice to see you. Anyway, let me just check that I've not got any chat on Twitter. Where am I? Where is Twitter? There we have. No, nobody's chatting on Twitter, which is great. Although 20 people have looked at it apparently, which is again great. And if you're on Twitter, hi, say hello. Let me know that you live. So back to the drones. We seem to have established that they are drones. It's not an invasion. We are in a period of hello Twitter. Gunky's on Twitter. So we are in a period of increased tensions with foreign powers. There's a chance it could be them. There's a chance it could be the Chinese at any point in the time, because the Chinese do like to wind people up, don't they? As you can see from the surveillance balloons and things. And someone said on Twitter today as well that, why would you put a drone over when you've got satellites? But, drones are much better at getting you up-to-date information. They've got dwell time. The satellite's flying over. Yeah, it can take pictures as it's flying over, but it's only got that window of opportunity. And it's nearly always on an angle. It's not taking top-down shots. And then it can't go back round and say, where did that guy go? Whereas a drone can linger and follow people. Especially if it's up, if it's fairly high. And they are quite quiet anyway. People don't notice them generally. So what I don't understand is why they've got the lights on. And we might come to some kind of reasoning there. So it's been fun on Twitter today, but I don't understand why people would automatically go to the esoteric and when Here's another one. Here's another one that gets me. I mean, you know how long I've been doing this crap and digging around this subject. And I said it's handy that the drones have got lights. And some guy goes, yeah, they're called wake up lights. Yeah, okay. I'm the one that needs to wake up. Yeah, well, there you go, Ray. Ray's halfway there. The chemtrails are to block the satellite views. So there you go. That's as viable a reason as any. Absolutely. That's actually a better reason for cloud seeding than trying to make rain. You know, there really is. So well done, Ray. I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, you're out of the box there. You want to watch. Oh, there's Mick Skins. Mick Skins is a qualified drone pilot. It doesn't take much to qualify to be a drone pilot, though, does it? Really? And no disrespect, Mick, but I mean, these things fly themselves. You only need to know the rules, and the rules aren't exactly rocket science, you know. Don't do bad things, don't go in bad. But I mean, everything's geofenced as well these days, isn't it? So what happens if you've got an old DJI drone that's never been connected to the internet and you run it on non-DJI software, you know, to fly it? Does that mean you can fly it anywhere? Maybe I should have a look at that and see if it still works. Be quite interesting. Anyway, regardless of that, there's that guy, Professor Simon, who's in France and makes films. He used to work for the BBC. He has his own theory. He thinks that sympathisers to the Russian cause that have been activated by who's the successor to the KGB? Is it the GRU or something like that? They've been activated, and they're now out flying drones about Lakenheath and places like that to annoy the Americans, much like the kind of things that we did when the US Navy had a nuclear submarine presence in the Holy Loch. People that thought they were being, shall we say, on the side of anti-nuclear weapons, anti-war, CND, that kind of thing, they would spy on the nuclear submarines coming in and report back to the guy in the pub. Another UN nuclear sub had come in and tied up at the supply ship. So, these people were under the watchful eye of MI5, no doubt, and that's when got stomped on. And the Russians were even paying these people as well. But I don't think that's the case here. I really don't. I think we've got two options here. One is a foreign power who are flying drones in, and you know if they're proper drones, and you know when you think back to the Langley Air Base ones, they said they were the size of cars and stuff like that. That's proper flying drones. That's not quadcopter stuff. So they've got to have come from somewhere. It's possible they come from a submarine, is it? Why not? You know, you don't need much to launch a drone. It's a thought. If we've got small hobbyist type drones, then they could come from anywhere. But what's the point? And here's my theory, and this could be completely off the wall, but maybe it's the Americans doing it themselves. And while it's not quite a false flag, what it's doing is putting enough state of fear and alarm into the population that does it get to the point where it justifies NATO taking a poke at the bear. Does it? Is that what they're trying to do? I don't know. It kind of makes sense in my head. Because you know what the Americans are like, and especially now that Trump's into power, or will be in January, they're desperate. They're desperate to provoke a reaction from Russia. And Putin's he's been controlled, very controlled. And doing things like he did with that Oreshnik missile, you know, dumping it without any warhead in it, just to prove the point that it would get through. It kind of makes a statement. But if you can't pick up on these things and you still think, or you still want to go to war with Russia, this really is the last gasp of a failing state. Because if you've got to force yourself to go to war to save your economy, which I think America is looking at, that's their game plan, to save their economy, to save Europe's economy, they'll go to war. I don't think Russia's going to play ball. I really don't. And if we do something incredibly stupid, Russia will turn around and they will use nukes, and then it's game over for everybody. You know, there's no way out of that one. So I think the Americans are playing a particularly stupid and daft game. I really do. Oh, Mick, you've been very patronising. They can do a thing called return to sender. Yeah, I know. I've got a couple of drones, and I've had them for, I don't know. I've had a drone since it first came out. You can work out exactly where they've been operated from. Yeah, possibly. Well, I don't. So, you won't be able to track them though if they're drones of a foreign power and they're using encrypted communications, or you won't be able to track them if they're actually American drones and they've been told not to track them. You ever considered that? So I reckon it's either a foreign power or it is the Americans themselves. That's my thoughts. I can't see it. I can't see it being anything other than that. I can't see it being hobbyists. Hobbyists don't turn up for 2 weeks and send drones over. So there you go. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on that? So Julie, I think, goes for the Americans. Ray says Oreshnik means hazelnut, whilst our missiles are called Storm Shadow. To be fair, Ray, I don't really think it matters what you call the thing that you hit someone with. Like it really makes a difference with the amount of damage it causes. And you know, if you have a big stick and you call it hazelnut and it still smashes everything, then you know what else can you say? Oh, what else should we talk about? The yoga ball at the airport. I don't know about you guys, but one, it's not a great resolution picture stroke video. And to me, it looked like a helium balloon. It had that kind of shape about it where it was slightly off. It's not round. It didn't look round to me. It looked like it was more, you know, that the kind of helium balloon style with a seam round the outside edge. And it kind of sounded like it behaved exactly like a balloon would. You know, it was almost sitting on the ground, and then obviously maybe a bit of jet wash or gust of wind caught it and woof, away it went, I can't see any reason why that wouldn't happen. I saw another video today that was very similar. A plane went by something that was just stationary in the sky, and it wobbled and then went towards the plane. And that's kind of what you expect, because the plane's making a massive big hole in the air as it goes by. And so there'll be the turbulence behind it, and it'll catch the balloon and pull it after the plane for a short period. So I think it's a balloon. Can't see it being anything else. What else could it be? A tiny planet? I mean, really, what else is it? You got people in the cockpit saying, I guarantee the guys, I mean, I would have said, surely the guy said there's a balloon on the ground. I know he probably wouldn't, because the pilot, isn't he? He's got to say, and there was an unidentified foreign object hovering over the ground. So, yeah, I think it's a balloon. Yeah, well, Gunky says a low-res alien film. Well, yeah, you would think, given the amount of people with cameras in their pockets, and good cameras now, right? You would think that if there was something, you would be able to pick it up. And it's like every freaking time you get these fantastic stories of what's occurring. A huge glowing ball in the sky, shaft of light coming down to the ground right beside the car, all that. And then you find the video, or the video to back it up comes along, and there's a flashing red light or a twinkling red light, miles away in the distance, and that's all the video's picking up. And you're like, yeah, okay. It's like, why? Surely somebody would have some kind of decent footage if these things were real. Apparently I need to speak to an experiencer, which I'm not quite sure. That's just someone that's seen a UFO or someone that's been in a UFO. But yeah, I put up a new video today on the cult about Mr. Elizondo. And it seems to have kicked off not too badly, so we'll see how that one goes. What else do we need to talk about? What did Mick say? It's impossible that they are commercial drones, yeah. I think that's probably true. Can't see them being that at all. Mick says they're 100% military drones and not battery operated. Can't hide the source of an RF signal through encryption. That's why right, yeah. Who's saying it's an RF signal, Mick? Right? I'm not talking about Maplin's drones here anyway. That's why I say your knowledge isn't great. Having a drone from Maplin's to working with military contract. Yeah, right. I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is, I was saying they weren't commercial drones. You're saying they're not commercial drones. So we seem to be on the same, what would you call it? We seem to be singing from the same hymn sheet there. Yeah? I'm pretty sure the communications between the drones will be encrypted. I mean, the communications between regular radios these days can be encrypted, which isn't that onerous and that hard to do anymore. But other than that, What are you talking about? What is it? How are they operated? Right, hold on, I can't see the rest of this message. What type of signal? Oh, you're the drone expert? I don't understand why we're in a conversation now about drones when we have come to the same conclusions. They're not commercial drones. They're military drones. And if they're foreign drones, are you telling me that they can map the path, the flight path, and know exactly where those drones have come and gone from? So why do they keep coming back every day? And why haven't they gone and sorted that out? Because the same thing happened at Langley. You had the same thing, almost the same time every night. You had 17. I think it was you had a fleet of drones fly over Langley every night for 17 nights. So who was doing that? So, and if they can track them, they're not tracking them very quickly, and they're not doing a very good job at stopping them, are they? So that would be quite interesting. I don't know. So if this, as you say, if the signal's traceable, how are they not catching them? How are they not getting the people that are operating them? Unless they're doing it themselves. So maybe that brings us back to the theory, which is it's the Americans doing it to themselves because they want to stir up, enough public disquiet, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that they're going to say, well, these drones could be used to take out our nuclear such and such, capabilities and whatever, and they want to drop a bomb on them, and they want NATO to go first. So that is my theory, for what it's worth. Yeah, well, Nick's already been asked on the show. Well, so Mick says because they know who's operating them. Yeah, exactly. I think they're operating them themselves. That's who I think. And if it was a foreign power, I'm pretty sure they would stop them operating them. Right. It's getting towards that time of the year where it's going to be Christmas soon. And I last night I was idly thinking, and I think I'm coming up with a drink, a Christmas drink that I'm going to try and make and see how it turns out. So along the kind of lines of a Bailey's type drink, but with a twist. I'll tell you more when I've got it working. We'll see how that works. Oh, hello Ben. Ben's in the chat. Nice to see you. Right. What you want to drink milk for? What's happening? What's happening in the chat? What's the bet? Oh, yeah, milk for chili. Gunky, you should know. Gunky should know that. Was it him or it was somebody correct? I said drink milk for chili, and somebody said no, it should be acid or something like that, and it's not. It's milk. No, it's not Bailey's Cellini. It's definitely not Bailey's. It's going to be a cream-based liqueur, right? But it's not going to be Bailey's. This is going to be interesting. So I shall produce it and see how it goes down. I've got like 10 people around me that I can use to test it. Yeah, Mick, you can come on the show anytime and explain your theory. It would be good to hear it, mate. I mean, if you can come on just now if you want, if you're ready, but It would only take me a couple of minutes to throw up a link to you. So it's up to you. I don't know if you need to go and have a wash. Tidy up, make yourself look good. Because I know how you like the ladies, so you wouldn't want to put on a bad impression, would you? Jedi, do you want to put it to the test? That was one of the things when we were doing our tear gas training as well. That was one of the things that counteracts tear gas, counteracts pepper spray, counteracts tear gas, milk. So there you go. If you're ever stuck, you need to grab some milk. So if you see people going to a protest with pints of milk in their hand, you know that they are looking for bother. You've been streaming since 7:30. Why would you want to do that, Ben? Advocat is basically eggnog, so it's just a brand name. And I make eggnog every what's it called? Christmas, but I've decided I'm going to try a different drink this year because I end up drinking all the eggnog, and eggnog's incredibly potent stuff. You know, proper eggnog, not your Advocat crap. Proper eggnog is very nice, but incredibly potent. Knocks you for 6, and it is quite fattening. What's so Mick is about to cook, so he can't come on just now, but he'll come on at some point. Right, okay. Right, that's good, Mick. Give us a shout, mate. Give us a shout and we'll get you on. Oh. Where do you think we've been? Said Beats and Tapes. I have no idea, mate. I can't think of anything more exciting than watching Ben build Lego. Well, we do need. I do, and I know in Beats and Tapes. I really do. Right. What else has been happening in the world today? Anything of import? What happened there? Now I've gone and done it, haven't I? I've lost the chat because I've lost my link. I'm not very good at this. I'm getting worse. Yeah, I do need a producer because I'm trying to run 2 streams at the same time. I've got Mick and Gunky on Twitter and you guys on YouTube. Yes, right. So the dodgy milk, yeah, I know all about the dodgy milk. Well, I don't know all about it, but I know that they're intending to feed the cattle this thing called Bovera, which doesn't appear to have been authorised for use anywhere other than on this trial. So it sounds a bit dodgy, and you know, I'm not a great fan of mucking about with the food chain, because the last time we mucked about with the beef food chain, we ended up with mad cow disease when we were feeding infected sheep to cows who are herbivores. I mean, you can feed mixed feed to chickens, because chickens are opportunistic omnivores, a bit like pigs. Pigs will eat meat. Rats will eat meat. Chickens will eat meat. You know, all these things will eat meat. Even squirrels, to a degree, I think, will eat meat. But because they are basically just tree rats. I know they look cuter, but they are basically adapted tree rats. But cows are herbivores. Cows do not eat meat, and when you start feeding them meat, especially when it's, you know, ground up brains of infected sheep, it really really didn't go down well, did it? It didn't do a great job on the food chain. Made us a pariah in the world. You couldn't sell British beef anywhere, and we couldn't get decent steaks on the bone or anything like that for ages. So yeah, and I think in some respects, I think we were quite lucky because I think it had been in the food chain for a while. I think they found that there is some kind of gene in the human genome that kind of stopped the thing taking the effect that it would have if it hadn't been there. And then we would have had a big problem with CJD, apparently because it only affected a couple of people. Julie says leave our squirrels out of it. Squirrels are freaking evil. They're really... I'm not a great fan of squirrels. I mean, they look okay, and they're cute when they're running about, but when they're trying to knock your door down, they're quite dodgy. I had a squirrel rush at the front door. I had to slam the back door, the front door, to stop the squirrel getting in. Then it did that kind of loop round the porch. I don't know if it had like gone mad or something. Mad squirrel disease. I don't know what was up with it. Then it just hung on the wall. It was clinging to the wall, to the rough cast, upside down, looking in the window. And I thought, that squirrel was to get us. I thought, why? An alien possessed squirrel. Could that be? Right. It didn't like being called a tree rat. That's a possibility. That's a possibility, Ray. It really is. What's happened today? Oh, there was something. Oh, let's just. Do you remember the UAP hearings that happened recently with Tim Gallaudet, Elizondo, and Shermer, and all that, who testified in front of Congress, and that guy Tim Gallaudet said that basically his evidence was, I had information in an email from such and such, and my email was deleted. And everybody else that had the email, their email was deleted as well. So the email was removed from all the computers. So there was no evidence to back up his statement. Well, it turns out that he now has fingered, if that's the correct word. Oh God, I've forgotten his name. Jay, is it Jay? He has fingered. Oh, good grief! He's fingered Jay. Let me just check quickly, because he said that the guy that was in charge of the UAP task force is the guy that deleted it, and then this is not putting him in a good look, because here we go. He has. So who's he fingered? He has fingered.
But email was
Jay Stratton. Okay, yeah. Or Jay Stratton. So Jay Stratton, who is now in charge of the UAP task force, I believe, he said that he deleted it because Jay Stratton's in charge of the UAP task force. But the evidence that Gallaudet was given was from 2015, and that was tied to 2015 because that's when the exercise that he was on was in full flow, and he said his email was deleted the next day. Now, the UAP task force wasn't formed until 2020. So it wasn't Jay Stratton. Unless Jay Stratton was doing something else, which I don't think he was. Unless Jay Stratton was doing something else that would involve him deleting Gallaudet's email. So I don't know if he's got confused with the UAP task force and ATIP. Now, ATIP's enough to confuse anyone, because ATIP officially ceased to operate in 2012 because ATIP was never a real program. It was always OSAP, and ATIP was a kind of nickname for it. But anyway, the whole thing was meant to finish in 2012. And at that point, Elizondo kept ATIP running in his head because there's no funding for this program. There was nobody assigned to it. The Pentagon didn't recognise it as running. So the only person who said he was the director of it was Elizondo. And he had a different job for the Undersecretary of was it the Undersecretary of Defence Intelligence or something? So he had a job in the intelligence office. So if ATIP was running, it was running in Elizondo's head. The guy's a Fruit Loop. And he wouldn't have had the authority or the ability to go in and delete that email from Gallaudet's computers and the people that he sent it to. So, yeah. It wasn't him. So the credibility of these people just never bears scrutiny. Elizondo's credibility doesn't bear scrutiny. His credibility, yes, Gallaudet guy, his credibility doesn't bear scrutiny. Shermer's a flip-flopper and won't tell you who any of his sources are, which is fine. But if you have no evidence and you still have a hidden source, then you have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. So really, I think the whole thing's it's a bit in disarray as well. It's just, people are so desperate to believe in something. I think it's like a safety valve that the aliens will come along and stop us being bad to each other. But that's not going to happen. If anyone's going to stop you being bad to each other, it's got to be you. And actually, I'm working on a video just now that might suggest that might not necessarily have the outcomes that you think it should or would want. So maybe even have that ready for tomorrow, because it's going to be a narrative with B-roll, I think. I don't think I'll be speaking to it. But we'll see. It took me ages to do the last video for the cult because I made an error with my green screen. As you see, tonight's isn't too bad. But I had made an error with the recorded one, so it took me ages to fix it. They talk about it in a private room. Yeah, I know. They talk about it in the skiff, don't they? What difference does that make to us? You know, they keep talking about disclosure and all this, and I don't think, I'll be honest, I don't think they've got anything. I really don't. Certainly not alien. I'm not saying that there's not something around this subject, but I don't think it's extraterrestrial, actually. So there we go. I'm still working towards my full and final conclusion, but it's quite an eye opener when you really start digging into it properly, because there's an awful lot of holes in these people's stories. There's an awful lot of missing evidence or no evidence or trust me, bro, and it just doesn't stand up to scrutiny. That's the problem. And yet, and I mean, I don't know if you've seen that Manhattan alien abduction on Netflix, and they did a bit of a hatchet job probably on Linda. But I think they might have been on the right track, because I came to a similar conclusion, I must admit. I think that guy Bud was taking advantage. I was going to say taking advantage of people, but I don't think he was taking advantage of people in the way that you think. I mean, what I think Bud was doing is he desperately wanted to believe that aliens were real and that these abductions were real. And I think he was convincing people through his hypnosis that they'd had an alien abduction, because they were coming to him with weird dreams or sleep paralysis type things, and then he was a very receptive ear. And you know, when people are listening to you, you tend to maybe embellish a little and start going down a different path. I think he subconsciously gave them what they wanted to hear, and they fed him back in return. And it was like a loop. You know, it was like a perfect feedback loop until they became full blown alien abductees, and he was writing up the cases and publishing them. And I just kind of think that's what it's about. You can't float someone out a closed window on the 12th floor of an apartment. You just can't do it again unless you tear up, throw away all the rules of physics, all the observed rules of physics and laws of physics that we know about, and start from scratch. I can't see any way of doing it. You can't pull someone through a wall. Not without destroying them and the wall. So that's what I think a lot of these abduction cases are. People being fed the lines they want to hear on both sides. I think that's the problem. And that guy Bud, he was trying too hard. And Linda, she gave herself away as well, because that bit where she phoned Bud pretending to be her sister, and he actually knew that, because he turned to his wife and goes, "Linda's just phoned me pretending to be her sister." That's a bit of a giveaway. That should have been a red flag, but no, I think he liked the story too much. He liked it validated him. These people are looking for validation, aren't they? And I don't think Linda was doing it particularly for money or anything, but she wanted fame. She wanted to be known because she had a singing career that she gave up to become a New York housewife and mother. But I think that was still niggling her, because she thought she could be big. And that's just my view. I think she made it up. She made it up. Bud soaked it in, gave it back to her, and then it just expanded from there, because there's no evidence. Those 23 witnesses have never been identified, never come forward. So they might as well not exist. Nobody saw anything. The 2 security guards that claimed they saw it happen, along with the Secretary General of the United Nations, he says never happened. Those 2 security guards have never been identified, never come forward, and they only ever corresponded with Bud through written letters. They allegedly kidnapped Linda, and then one of them declared his undying love for her. And at the risk of sounding a little misogynist, it's a bored housewife fantasy. That's what it is. It reads like a Mills and Boon. It really does. So yeah. The Headless in Edinburgh. Yeah, I saw a guy. I posted a picture the other day. Some delivery driver or something had written on the back of his big pack, something about a headless guy, or the headless guy didn't lose his head through a bus. So yeah, I think there's a bit. That's a weird one. That it just doesn't sound right. I've seen some weird things happen though, but it just doesn't sound right. Because I can't see how he'd get pulled round to slice. No, Not in that, I just don't know. If the bus is going forward, it would have to. I see. I can't see it happening so cleanly. I just can't. I mean, I've seen people hit by HGVs, and it's not pretty, and it doesn't leave a lot that's recognisable. So I'm just trying to figure out how a head could be. I don't. Maybe a possibility. Maybe. Because I think what they're saying is the rim of the wheel arch sliced it off. It's maybe a possibility. Maybe. I don't know. A hard one to recreate. A hard one to prove one way or the other. I mean, my first thought is always, though, that it would there would have been a massive amount of damage and blood. The head looked pretty clean, to be fair. When the guy picked it up, he obviously thought it was some kind of joke. Picked it up and then realised it was a real head and put it down quickly. But yeah. So, anyway, right, that's us done, what, an hour? Have we? What time is it? Yeah, more or less. We've done an hour. That's all right. Anything else do we want to pick up on, people? Nope. I can't. I don't know where my I don't know where the hell's my thing gone? My when I say my thing, I mean the broadcast on Twitter's not very intuitive when it comes to producing stuff. Yeah, I found it again, but how did I get into it again? Alright, here we go. Broadcast on Twitter's not very intuitive when it comes to producing stuff. Yeah, I found it again, but how did I get into it again? Alright, here we go. Broadcast on what the freak? Twitter's not very intuitive when it comes to producing stuff. What the hell? I had to shut the window. It just kept playing. It just kept playing the same bit over. I don't know if you guys could hear it. That was really weird. Have you guys got an echo? You guys better not have an echo. I forgot to turn off the speakers. It looped there, yeah. I don't know why, but anyway. But apart from that, you haven't had an echo all night, have you? Yeah, no, that's fine, Espresso. Right, okay, that's cool. Right, oof. I really need a producer. Yeah, the diet update has been fine. I refed last. When did I refeed? Saturday? Yeah, so I did 138 hours without food. I'd lost a total of 19 pounds in weight. I began eating on Saturday. I had a couple of eggs and pork steak or something like that. And then on Sunday, I had more pork steak. And then on Monday, I had more pork steak. I've just been carnivore all week. Apart from last night, I went a bit dirty keto. I had some black pudding and haggis as well, with eggs and bacon. And I will be weighing in tomorrow. But I weighed myself on Monday and I put on 1 pound, which is excellent. So a total loss so far, 18 pounds. So I'll let you know on Friday if I've put any weight on. But I would anticipate having lost another couple of pounds. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm quite worried about this drink I'm thinking of making though, because if I make that would pile the pounds on. But hey ho, it's getting near Christmas. Right, so apart from that, it's been great, I think. It's been great for you. Good night, everyone.